When Konami announced they'd be remastering one of the most iconic JRPG series, I was elated. I had given up hope of ever seeing this game getting any kind of love in the modern era, and I'd be forced to toil the secondhand market just to try to play a game that I was so fondly remembering from my childhood on the PlayStation. In this video, let's take a walk down memory lane and discuss not only what the remaster has provided us, but what makes this series so special. Let me state first that this section of the video is geared more towards people who have not tried these games before, so if you're a veteran, you're already pretty familiar with what I'm about to tell you. The games themselves are loosely based on the Chinese novel Water Margin, which, translated in Japanese, is Suikoden. While the games take place in the same world with overlapping stories, they are not in chronological order. Some characters even show up in multiple games too. Suikoden is a series that centers its stories around politics, corruption, revolutions, crystals known as true runes, and the 108 Stars of Destiny. You can think of this as like the 108 protagonists, who get loosely interpreted from the source materials. The 108 Stars of Destiny borrows its concept from the Chinese novel Shui Hu Suan, and certain characters can be recruited after meeting certain criteria, like getting a cat or a certain item to be able to recruit them into your party. You can even recruit the antagonistic characters or outright kill them if you feel like it, and can have effects on the story based on the player's choices. This part alone, while playing both in my younger days, this now helps me appreciate the detail that went into crafting the world building and its story based on these choices, leading to giving the player a sense of fulfillment and accomplishment that these older JRPGs were really good at. You really do feel like each of these characters have genuine motivations for joining your cause, be it through manipulation, betrayal, or losing someone close to them. Something both games do really well is invoking emotion through your choices, which, when this game first came out, it felt super groundbreaking for a JRPG, at least in my eyes, and I genuinely winced if I were to be making the wrong choice in certain situations. Whereas now, everything feels so safe and they really don't want to upset the player. Outside of your choices, just the gameplay aspect of collecting all 108 Stars of Destiny, each with their own gender, religion, and culture, feels like you can connect with every character in these games and their inherent personality traits lend to well-deserved favoritism amongst its fans. I was always partial to Luke or Clive, not only from a power standpoint, but their characters from the game's lore was pretty cool, like Luke being the one to assist the hero in both games, serving as Leknath's number 2. Another positive aspect of Suikoden is its heavy emphasis on the story and its use of war and politics. I know I mentioned this a little earlier, but it's worth talking in more detail here. During the Liberation War, the hero Tyr was thrust into a conflict he never imagined being a part of, as he was prepared to serve Emperor Barbarossa and work with his father, Teo McDougal. Throughout this journey, you get betrayed by your friends, lose those close to you, and see corruption firsthand as the warring nations in the world succumb to the threat of Wendy and Barbarossa. Also, like mentioned earlier, your choices carry great weight in seeing who lives and who dies, and gives the player that sense of moral ambiguity, leading you on a path of bloodshed and salvation and ultimately freedom. With the second game, thematically very similar, but what's cool is you can import your save from the previous game. As you journey through the world, you run into familiar faces from previous games during the onset of the Dunan War. Ryu, Nanami, and Joey serve as a trio who, dare I say, have a rough go of it, and the former were adopted by Genkaku, who is a bit of a legend himself, and a great divide happened when they both obtained the 2 runes of power, being the Black Sword rune and the Bright Shield rune. Han took the side of Highland, while Genkaku took the side of Joustin. This also mirrors what happened with Ryu and Joey, leading to Joey betraying his friend and joining the Highland army with Luca Blight, and Ryu joining Flick and Victor as a resistance, which ultimately ends much like the first game with a large-scale conflict and a run of high-stakes boss battles that lend to the gravity of the situation, where every placement in battle is essential lest you perish and lose the war. The satisfaction of completing the arcs of each game with its rollercoaster-style storytelling and learning about each of the stars you recruited and how they're doing after the story really helps bring a finality to the games and makes the world feel even more alive. As you go from Suikoden 1 into Suikoden 2, from start to finish, everything all feels so connected. Whether you're talking to a character's descendant or a location changed, and that enhancement and development is just something that feels so significant to me. Now, outside of epic storytelling and world building, another thing that Suikoden excels at is its customization. Just because you have a mage, you aren't forced to only use them as a mage. In Suikoden 1, I use Cleo as a long-range specialist, while having the water and flowing runes giving more of a support function to my party and allowing more diversity with the rest of my formation. These games allow you the freedom to experiment with hybrids if you customize them the right way. I was also pretty big on the mage-warrior hybrids too, looking at you flickin' Victor. The base combat itself serves as a grid function in turn-based combat where you can auto-battle to save time, or do basic physical attacks, or use your runes to wipe the field. Its simplicity is what works so well. Also, with regard to simplicity, the overworld travel, towns, and dungeons are all super easy to explore, and I would rarely get lost. These days, things can be so overcomplicated, and I can't preach enough about simple being a hallmark of good game design. Now, let's talk about some things that Suikoden Remastered changed to help enhance your experience. One of the things that immediately jumps out to you when starting a new game is the difficulty options. The normal difficulty is equivalent to the PlayStation 1 original, while the easy mode allows you to go through the story, with most battles beatable through simple auto-battling. If you use hard, you're not going to be able to switch at all later. It all depends on how much of a challenge you're looking for, but normal should satisfy most players. The audio has also been remastered, and while the original had an excellent soundtrack, the HD version also did smaller scale things like add footsteps and ambient sounds to make the world feel more alive and immersive. Another nice touch is its improved saving feature. Back when Suikoden first came out, autosaving wasn't really considered, and when you enter and exit certain areas, the game will quickly save in case you get wiped out by a group of enemies or a boss. Losing those long hours of progress was a horrible feeling back in the day, and it's nice not to have to worry about that anymore. You can also carry over your cleared data from Suikoden 1 into Suikoden 2. Doing so will unlock the ability to get the hero from Suikoden 1 into your file provided that you recruit them. The interface has also gotten a fresh coat of paint and looks modern and clean, as well as updated character portraits for the first game and updated sprites to match. This new interface really makes it feel like a brand new game. The HD remasters also allow you to streamline the combat, allowing you to speed it up and also turn on auto battle. Speeding up combat also speeds up the battle music, and auto battle only allows your characters to do physical attacks, which is not much help against the bosses in the game. Also, a small but underrated update is the message logs in your chats with the NPCs, which if you ever forgot where to go, you can just check the logs and get right back on track again. The original Suikoden was one of the first JRPGs on the PS1, and it was no doubt dated, so with these quality of life updates, it really invigorates the experience. Even having the ability to turn off the event timer was massive in 2, since recruiting Clive can be a pain, since you're trying to be as optimal as possible, but if you're a new player, it's still kind of easy to mess up recruiting him. Lastly, the graphics have been overhauled and it doesn't compromise the original's essence, and the pixel sprites are preserved in the overworld exploration and its combat. The new lighting, water effects, paired with its 3D elements and environmental overlays, make the world of Suikoden feel more believable and pleasing to the eye than ever before. All of this, of course, is rendered in this new amazing HD with widescreen support. The only hang-up I have is, since I played on PC, you simply can't just exit the game, and I had to window out and do an end task, but they are working on patching that in. It's a small bit of oversight, but I didn't let it ruin my experience. I really had to give credit where credit is due. I was really down on Konami for a while, and they seem to be caring about their IPs again. I thought the Suikoden franchise would be forgotten about despite its excellence and notoriety within the JRPG community. Konami has rekindled not only Suikoden, but also Silent Hill and Metal Gear Solid, and to a lesser extent Castlevania. These franchises all have played a significant part in my childhood, especially Suikoden, and this remaster is pretty much all I could have hoped for, and they hit my nostalgia perfectly. They were also smart in releasing it on every platform to maximize profitability and reach. I have been recommending this game to so many of my friends and colleagues, and frankly, it deserves every bit of praise that I can muster. So once again, Konami, take a bow, you deserve it. You have honored the legacy of the series creator Yoshitaka Murayama, who sadly passed away last year, but I have to believe he was pleased with the results, though not directly involved with the project, and he instead made the Eiyuden Chronicles as the spiritual successor. All this being said, if you haven't played this franchise before, please do yourself a big favor and get these games however you choose to play them. You won't regret it. I hope that you've enjoyed the video, so please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Soul Soldier 17, out.